Hello, dear students, good morning and welcome to a new chapter, chapter number 17 Breathing and Exchange of Gases. So, in this chapter, we are going to learn about respiration, the respiratory system, and also different types of respiratory organ which is present in both animals and humans. So, let's start the different types of respiratory organs. So, respiration is an essential, that is physiological activity of all the living beings, right? It is a process in which oxidation of foodstuffs takes place in the body of living organisms to produce energy. And this energy is utilized by the organism in performing various life processes, right? So, respiration is a catabolic process in which stepwise degradation of organic substances takes place. So, we can define respiration as a biochemical process which involves degradation of organic compounds in stepwise oxidation with the release of energy inside the living cells at body temperature. Okay, so in the years, yes, Robert Boyle and Robert Hooke 16,000 were the first to give the real understanding of respiration. So, they have defined respiration. It is a catabolic process which involve exchange of environment oxygen and body's carbon dioxide through a liquid medium to utilize the oxygen for the oxidation of glucose in the mitochondria to produce energy. Okay, so we can see the exchange of gases is known as respiration. So here one formula is given by the two scientists, that is C6 H12O6 plus 6O2 in mitochondria. In the presence of O2, it forms 6 CO2 plus 6 H2O plus 38 ATP energy. Okay, so that energy is stored in the form of ATP. Okay, so that is basically the exchange of gases is known as respiration. So my question is, what happened in respiration? So it release of energy in small doses during oxidation and conservation of energy, so release in biological useful form such as ATP, that is known as respiration. Okay, so now we'll see the site of respiration. Actually, process of respiration is carried out in the mitochondria of the cell, which necessary respiratory enzymes are present, and energy release is stored in the form of high energy bond. Okay, so the adenosinosis triphosphate ATP, which is subsequently broken down and as where it required to use the energy for various activities. So let's see what is the process of gas exchanges. Okay, so gas can be exchanged in aerobic organisms, means those organism that require O2 for the growth. Okay, so the gas in aerobos, that is aerobos, that is intake of oxygen and output of CO2 takes place by means of respiratory organs. Okay, for example, in other words, it can take place by an organ especially meant for this purpose, like trachea, gill, lungs, etc. Okay, yes, so if we will talk about the mechanism of gas exchange, so the organism obtain oxygen in five ways. So that is from water or air through moist body surface, that directly into the body of the animal. Okay, yes, as euglena we have an example, or from water or air through thin body wall to the blood vessels, as in earthworm. Okay, and from air through spiracles to system of the trachea to tissue to, or from water through trachea gills, as in insect. Okay, or from water through gills into the blood and then in the tissues, as in fishes, and from air through moist lung surface to blood vessels and from their tissues, as in rabbit, men, etc. Okay, so this fifth process is seen in the human. Okay, that is called, and this type of exchange is called pulmonary respiration. Okay, pulmonary respiration. Okay, so from air through moist lung surface to blood vessels, and from there to tissue in a rabbit, or in a yes tissue, as in rabbit and man. Okay, so two types of structure takes part in the process of respiration, that is respiratory substance surfaces and respiratory organ. So, if we will see the requirement of efficient gaseous exchanges, so the surface must be in direct contact of O2 sources, that is water and air. The surface should always be large, thin and moist. The surface should be semi-permeable so that diffuse of CO2 or O2 maybe takes place rapidly, and there should be a network of blood capillary on the respiratory system. Okay, so all these are the requirement. Now let's talk about gaseous exchange in unicellular organisms, that means a single cell. Okay, so what is unicellular organism? In aquatic unicellular organism like amoeba, okay, paramecium, gas exchange takes place through general body surface from the medium which is in the direct contact of the cell, that is organism, right? So their surface area, that is volume ratio, is large enough so the simple diffusion of oxygen and carbon dioxide that across the general body surface of unicellular is adequate from the respiratory need. So this is, and also it takes place in the multicellular organism, like how it can take, like in multicellular organism the ratio of surface of the volume is smaller. Okay, we can say there is a extracellular fluid, or they having the adaptation that bring the environment closures to the cell. Okay, so in this way multicellular organisms also have gas exchange process. Now they having many phases for the respiration in multicellular organism also, like external respiration and internal respiration, means it takes place in multicellular organism. So when we will talk about external, okay, so means those mechanism through which exchanges of gases takes place between the respiratory surfaces such as lungs, skin, gill, etc. Right? So yes, now this external respiration is divided into two parts, that is inspiration and expiration. Inspiration means it is the process by means of which oxygen takes place in respiratory organ, and in expiration in which during expiration carbon dioxide is expelled out from the respiratory organ into the environment. Clear? Now internal respiration. Internal respiration means it involves exchange of gases between the body fluid and cell tissues, which is completed in 3 steps. So let's see the steps. Firstly, in oxygen uptake by tissue cells from blood through ECF, okay, that is extracellular fluid. Okay, now oxidation of foodstuffs in tissue and elimination of carbon dioxide from the tissue cells. Clear? So we having 3 type of respiration we have seen in various types of organism, like unicellular and multicellular, right? Now let's see the difference between, here is given breathing and respiration. Okay, you can see by your book. Now again it is one more table, that is organ that involve in gas exchange. So let's see which organ involves. So there are various types of respiratory organs in which animal have been modified and adapted according to the surrounding in which they live. So according to that it is given in your chart. So let's start with the first point, that is respiration through general body surface or skin. Means generally that some type of organism can do the process of respiration by their body surface and also by their skin. Okay, so we having many example also here, like we having the animal that lead inactive life and their metabolic rate is low. Okay, so this types of animals, yes. Now we having the example like nourish, yes, and yes, so many examples we having. So in your book there is many examples is given, you can see. Yes, Yes, here one picture is also given, right? Nares. Okay, you can see. Now next we having is respiratory through trachea. Okay, so means some organisms and also takes place do the respiration by the by the help of tracheas. So we can see now in some when we will talk about some insects and other invertebrates, so exchange of oxygen and CO2 between their tissues and air by a system of air filled tubes, that is called trachea. Okay, so by the trachea they do the respiration. Yes, the respiration of or the exchanges of gases can be do. Okay, now next we having is respiration through gills. So as you all know that fish is the best example. Okay, so gills are projections of the skin that help. I'll show you the structure. See my dear students, this is the structure of, yes, fish here is given. Yes, so what they're saying that gills are projection of the skin that help in using oxygen dissolved in water and that contain blood vessels that help in exchange of the gases. Clear? Yes, so in this way they can also do. Now nextly we having respiration through lungs. Okay, that I told you, lungs, or we can say the pulmonary respiration, which is also in human, right? In human, which type of respiration is found? That is pulmonary respiration. So in amphibians, in reptiles, birds and mammals, respiratory organs are lung. So our respiratory organs is known as lungs. So exchange of gases through lungs, that is called the pulmonary respiration. So lungs has developed in growth of the body surface from the wall of the pharynx in terrestrial animals. So lungs are located in the thoracic cavity and these communicate to the exhaustor with the help of the respiratory tract. Air enters or leaves the lung through this passage. Okay, so in this way respiration through lungs is also known as the pulmonary respiration and it takes place in human also. Okay, now now next is given gas exchange in aqueous medium. Okay, so aqueous medium means the aquatic animal that utilize water as a source of oxygen because water contains 0.3 to 0.7% dissolved oxygen. So the organs of respiratory in aquatic animal are skin and gill. Okay, so in many annelidas like earthworm and leeches, they exchange of takes place by their skins. Okay, so you have seen here it is given the difference between combustion and respiration, you can see. Okay, so I hope you understood. In next class we will we'll continue with the pulmonary gas exchange system. Okay, thank you.